In a sunny day at Boston, Massachusetts, three tourists go to visit a museum in Boston. They're wandering around the museum and they see this like kind of bald guy with a little bit of hair. They ask the tour guy, he's like, "And who is that guy?" And the tour guy, he's like, "Oh well, that guy's John Adams." And one of the tourists asks, "And who is John Adams?" And the tourist guy, he's like, "Well, let me tell you who was John Adams. John Adams was born in October the 30th of 1735 in Boston, Massachusetts. At the age of 16, John Adams earned a scholarship to attend Harvard University. After graduating at the age of 20, John Adams wanted to become a lawyer, so he studied law. After a couple years of studying law, he earned his degree as a lawyer. Years after, he started to get involved in more action in between the United States and Great Britain. After the British Parliament passed the Stamp Act in 1765, John Adams wrote an essay responding his opposition to the Stamp Act, and that's about it. And one of the tourist guys, he's like, wait a minute. And what about the Boston Massacre? What did John Adams have to do with it? And how did the Boston Massacre occur? Well, I'm glad you asked, tourist guide said. Well, everything started since years before, like the British Congress passing the Stamp Act, and just to top it off, they passed the Townshend Act in 1767. Oh, one of the tourist guide said, well, wait a minute, what is the Townshend Act? And what is the Stamp Act? The tourist guy said, well, I'm glad you asked. Okay, let me tell you, what was the Stamp Act and when was the Stamp Act passed? Well, like I said before, in 1765, March the 22, the British Parliament passed an act that taxed papers, legal documents, licensed newspapers, and other things were taxed too. And what about the Townshend Act? Well, the Townshend Act was an act that was passed in 1767. This act taxed glass, lead, paint, paper, and tea, which was designed to give the government of Great Britain more money. With all these acts being passed, the colonies became more mad at the British government. Oh, that explains too. I would be mad too. Wouldn't you, Emmy? For sure, I would be mad. Taxing glass, lead, paint, paper, and tea? Man, I would be hella pissed. I would be mad too, to be honest. But let's talk more about the Boston Massacre and what happened after. 15 days prior to the Boston Massacre, a kid named Christopher Sater got shot by a Boston loyalist. The kid was apparently killed because he was part of a gang, or like these little kids will gather around this guy's house and start throwing rocks at the house. And a few days later, well, the guy just shot a kid, and well, he's dead now. And well, like things started adding up and stuff like that. The acts, the taxes and stuff. This little kid's dead, and just people got tired of it, and they just wanted a new America without taxes and without the British government like taking advantage of the colonists. Well, everything started March the 5th of 1770, where a mob of American colonists they gather around like a custom house in Boston, and like the colonists start like provoking the British soldiers, and like they just started gathering around. They like the colonists just started saying words, just started yelling at them, cussing at them, and like the soldiers just started. They were just standing there doing their job. And when the British captain hears this, he comes out of the building and commands his troops to just stay in line, not ready to shoot, nothing, but like just ready in line just in case. And like more people started gathering around the building, and just the American colonists, they just started cussing at the soldiers, and just things just got aggressive. You know, when people usually tend to get aggressive, they do things that sometimes they regret. Like one of the colonists just threw a like hit a soldier with a club, and they were like, "Shoot me if you dare." The soldier that got hit with the club stood up and took a shot, and all the soldiers just started shooting. And keep in mind that the general didn't like command to shoot or nothing. When the first like soldiers just shot, like 3 people out of 5 colonists died instantly that night, and the rest of them died while they were going to the hospital or they were just getting help. One of the first persons to die was Crispus Attucks. He was a free slave who was just protesting against the British. That night, Samuel Gray, James Cadwell, Samuel Maverick, Patrick Carr, and Christopher Attucks were killed. Since that night, like America wasn't the same again. Like people just started protesting and like just things got out of control since that night. The next day, these soldiers were taken to a jury, and nobody wanted to represent the soldiers. So they went up to just lawyers and stuff like that to ask for help if they could represent the soldiers, but nobody wanted to take the case. So they had a last person to ask a favor. So they went up to John Adams to their house, and they're asking him, "Hey, can you represent the soldiers of the Boston Massacre?" And John Adams immediately he said no, cause you know who wants to get involved in more trouble and stuff. And they just keep insisting them, and they're like, "Come on, dude, can you do it? Can you do it?" And like finally, he agreed to defend the British soldiers. At the courthouse, people were going crazy. Like, why is John Adams helping them? Why is he going for them? And the only thing he said, he was like, "Well, the only thing I'm doing right now is I'm just going for justice, and I want the people to see what really happened that night." The judge asks for quiet in the courtroom, and the judge asks for Richard Palms. Richard Palms comes to the front of the courtroom to testify, and the judge asks like, "So you were there in front of the Boston Massacre. What really happened?" And he's like, "Well, the colonists really started. They just started gathering around, and they just started provoking the soldiers." Like people at the courthouse, they were going crazy. They're like, "How can you say that and stuff? I thought you were a patriot and stuff." And John Adams is like, "Okay, thank you for your help." That day, the judge found Captain Preston as innocent, and the following men were convicted: Thomas Mayo, James Barrick, William Hill. That's about it, the story. Now, there's a Boston Massacre Memorial nearby here. Are you down to go visit it right now? One of the tourist guys is like, "Yeah, I'm sure. Let's go." And they all agree to go. They see the circle where everything happened, and they're like, "Wow, really interesting story." Well, thank you for your time. And for sure, we'll contact you when we come back to Boston to visit.